An angel once bathed in divine light became the figure of ultimate darkness, Lucifer, the morning star, the fallen one cast into eternal night. What twisted course led this celestial being from heaven's grace to embodying evil itself? How did pride, rebellion, and cosmic justice collide in a story etched into humanity's collective imagination? Join us as we unravel the full and terrifying true story of Lucifer, the angel who became Satan. To understand Lucifer's transformation from a radiant angel to the embodiment of Satan, we must first voyage to the heights of the ancient heavens where divine order reigned supreme. Lucifer's name means light bringer or morning star, and he was not just any angel, but one of the highest, if not the highest, in the celestial hierarchy. Some texts portray him as the most beautiful and glorious of all created beings, a keeper of God's precious light, shining in splendor and wisdom. But even in such lofty stature, a seed of pride perhaps, the deadliest sin was already stirring within him. In the beginning, Lucifer served with absolute loyalty, his brilliance illuminating the vast expanse of heaven. Yet, alongside his beauty and radiance, blossomed a dark ambition. The core of his fall is said to rest on a paradox. Lucifer desired to ascend higher than the throne of God, to become like the Most High himself. But how could an angel, crafted perfect and radiant, fall to such depths of arrogance? What was the true nature of his rebellion? This rebellion is not simply a tale of disobedience, but of cosmic significance. Lucifer's pride challenged the very foundation of divine order. Ancient scriptures and interpretations tell us that he rallied a host of angels in third, according to some traditions to his cause. These angels, mesmerized by his charisma and plenitude, aligned themselves in revolt. The stakes were apocalyptic. Dominion over the heavens themselves was at risk. The established cosmic harmony threatened to unravel. What sealed Lucifer's fate was not just his ambition, but the enormity of his betrayal. The story of Lucifer's rebellion and fall is hinted at in cryptic prophecies and parables. For example, Isaiah's lament for the fallen Lucifer, son of the morning, and passages in Ezekiel describe a cherub who fell from grace. Yet these are fragmentary glimpses into a profound mystery. What exactly transpired during the celestial conflict? How was the aftermath of this battle felt not only by angels, but by humanity? To piece together this celestial saga, we delve into apocryphal and canonical sources, mythologies that blend theology with allegory, presenting a complex tapestry rather than a single narrative. The cosmology of Lucifer's rise and fall reveals layers of meaning about power, free will, pride, and the nature of evil that shaped religious, cultural, and even literary imaginations for centuries. This story tests the limits of faith and theology. Did God create evil through Lucifer's rebellion? Or was evil an unfortunate consequence of created beings endowed with free will? Lucifer's narrative plunges us into these existential debates that shake the foundations of human understanding about good and evil. By the end of this first part, one question remains poignant and unanswered. What was the moment that ignited Lucifer's defiance? What was the critical event that transformed him from the brightest angel into an adversary bent on war with his creator? This question pulses at the core of the narrative, compelling us to peer deeper into the heavens and beyond. If the story of Lucifer's fall has fascinated or haunted you, don't forget to subscribe and join us on this inquiry into one of history's most profound and enduring mysteries. What do you think was the real cause behind Lucifer's rebellion? Was it pride alone or something more? Share your theory in the comments below. Your thoughts might unravel the next layer of this cosmic riddle. To delve further into the origins of Lucifer's rebellion, we must grasp the nature of the celestial hierarchy and the unique role Lucifer played within it. Ancient texts describe a layered heaven, populated by ranks of angel seraphim, cherubim, thrones, dominions each executing divine will with perfect order. Lucifer, often identified with the angelic rank of a cherub, was tasked with guarding sacred knowledge and the brilliance of God's throne, reflecting his unparalleled closeness to the divine essence. Scholars and theologians have long debated whether Lucifer's pride was a sudden malice or the culmination of a gradual corruption. The angel's beauty and power became both a blessing and a curse. Such supreme radiance ignited in him a sense of self-importance that blinded him to humility. At some point, he supposedly proclaimed, "I will ascend to the heavens. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the Mount of Assembly, on the utmost heights of the sacred mountain." This declaration not only betrays a thirst for power, but reflects a fundamental rejection of the divine order. This infamous ambition did not go unnoticed. Divine justice, as told in the scriptures and later Christian theology, demanded swift and irreversible action. The rebellion ignited a cosmic war. Michael the Archangel, the chief commander of celestial hosts, led the loyal angels in battle against Lucifer and his followers. This battle is described metaphorically as a war in heaven, where lightning and thunder clashed, and the fabric of the celestial realm was shaken. The consequences of this war were catastrophic. The rebellious angels, cast out from their exalted posts, were expelled from heaven and hurled down to the abyss, condemned to roam the earth or the infernal realms in defiance of God's will. Lucifer, now marked by his fall, became Satanthe, adversary distilling all that opposed divine goodness and order. This dramatic shift complicates the narrative. Lucifer is no longer just a fallen angel, but the personification of evil, temptation, and rebellion against God. His transformation was symbolic as much as literal. He became a figure that captured human fears and the mysteries of sin. His name, once meaning light, now resonates as an emblem of darkness. This metamorphosis poses profound questions. Did Lucifer's fall introduce evil into the cosmos? Was there always a potential for darkness within the divine plan? The allegory of Lucifer's fall also sheds light on human nature. Just as the perfect angel succumbed to pride and ambition, so too can humanity fall prey to these sins. The story has thus been a moral parable throughout centuries, warning about the dangers of arrogance and the consequences of defying divine authority. Yet, the legend is not merely moralistic. It challenges religious dogma on free will, justice, and redemption. Can ultimate evil be forgiven? Is there a path of return for a being who defied the Creator at such a scale? Some traditions propose that Lucifer's fall was irrevocable, a permanent exile. Others hint at a cosmic balance, light and darkness, as necessary forces in the divine order. Understanding this celestial rebellion requires recognizing the vast cultural influences that have shaped Lucifer's image, from Jewish apocryphal writings to medieval Christian theology, and later literary works like John Milton's Paradise Lost. Each interpretation adds layers to the mythos, making Lucifer a multifaceted figure who embodies the complexity of rebellion and the nature of evil. But as the celestial war concluded and Lucifer was cast down, the story only deepened. What marks did this fall leave on earth and humanity? How did Lucifer's new role as Satan influence the unfolding of human history and spirituality? These questions pull us toward the next chapter of the saga, where terrestrial consequences begin to unfold. Following Lucifer's expulsion from heaven, the story transitions from cosmic conflict to earthly influence. According to many theological traditions, Lucifer, as Satan did, not simply vanish, but became the great adversary, the tempter of humankind. His new domain was the earth and the material world, realms where his aim was to corrupt and oppose God's creation through deception and sin. The earliest biblical hints show Satan appearing first in the Garden of Eden as a serpent, the cunning creature who beguiled Eve into disobedience. This allegorical depiction captures the essence of Lucifer's new role, a seducer sowing doubt and rebellion in place of faith and obedience. But how did an angelic being become associated with the snake so completely? And what deeper purpose did this temptation serve in the divine narrative? Exploring further, the serpent symbolism connects with ancient traditions where serpents were revered or feared as potent symbols of knowledge, temptation, and cyclical rebirth. Thus, Satan's guise represents the paradox of enlightenment tainted by rebellion. He offers knowledge, but at the price of estrangement from God's intended harmony. Throughout human history, this adversarial figure has been cast as the instigator of suffering, an embodiment of temptation that tests humanity's allegiance to divine law. The ongoing struggle between good and evil, light and darkness, is often portrayed as a reflection of the primordial conflict sparked by Lucifer's fall. Yet, this has not been a simple dichotomy. In Christian theology especially, Satan's power is limited and subject to God's ultimate sovereignty. In literature and folklore, Satan evolved into a character of complex motivations, a tragic anti-hero who defies tyranny, a proud rebel fighting fate, or a cruel deceiver reveling in human misery. This evolution reflects humanity's own struggle to understand the nature of evil. Is it an external force or the shadow within ourselves? How much responsibility does Lucifer bear for humanity's sins if temptation requires human choice to bear fruit? Additionally, the transformation of Lucifer into Satan introduces themes of punishment and justice. The fallen angels fate eternal damnation in hell, or the abscess emblematic of divine retribution. The question that arises, is there mercy for such ultimate rebellion? Most traditions affirm the irrevocability of his punishment, sealing his role as the eternal adversary. However, some Gnostic and mystical perspectives diverge, proposing that Lucifer's fall was part of a divine plan operating beyond human comprehension. In these views, the figure symbolizes the necessary presence of duality, the bearer of knowledge, or even a misunderstood catalyst toward eventual spiritual awakening. Such perspectives challenge orthodox beliefs and invite reflection on the complexity of good, evil, and free will. As the narrative continues to unfold, the human dimension gains prominence. Lucifer, as Satan, becomes increasingly linked to the temptation of individuals and societies, instigating a spiritual battle that surpasses physical wars. The consequences of this influence shape religious teachings, cultural myths, and ethical reflections on sin and redemption. Before we uncover the profound ramifications of Lucifer's shadow on human history and spirituality, another question looms. How did this great adversary influence the world's religious landscapes beyond Judaism and Christianity? Was Lucifer's story unique, or did it echo through other ancient belief systems? The next part seeks answers among the cross-cultural resonances of Lucifer's legend. The story of Lucifer did not remain confined to Judeo-Christian texts, but found intriguing parallels and resonances in many other cultures and religious traditions. This diffusion reflects a universal human fascination with the concept of the fallen divine being, the rebellion against cosmic order, and the embodiment of evil or chaos. In ancient Mesopotamian mythology, figures such as the god Tiamat or the rebellious deity Marduk embody chaos and destruction opposing the established order. While not direct analogues of Lucifer, they reflect a similar motif: divine beings who challenge or disrupt cosmic balance. These myths reveal an ancient preoccupation with the delicate tension between order and chaos. Likewise, Zoroastrianism, one of the world's oldest monotheistic religions, presents Angra Mainyu, the destructive spirit opposing Ahura Mazda's good creation. Though different in origin, Angra Mainyu functions similarly to Satan as the adversary embodying evil and corruption. It suggests that the human struggle with good and evil is echoed across traditions and may have influenced one another over time. In classical Greco-Roman mythology, figures such as Prometheus, who defy the gods by bringing fire knowledge to humans, parallel aspects of Lucifer's narrative. Although Prometheus's intentions were benevolent, his rebellion against divine authority and the resulting punishment offer insights into how ancient cultures wrestled with the paradox of enlightenment and defiance. The diffusion of the Lucifer myth reached medieval Europe, where the image of the fallen angel was deeply embedded into Christian doctrine and popular imagination. Art, literature, and theology immortalized this figure, often emphasizing his hubris and eternal torment. Dante Alighieri's Inferno famously depicts Lucifer trapped in the frozen depths of hell, a monstrous being imprisoned by his own rebellion. John Milton's Paradise Lost further cemented Lucifer's image, offering a dramatic and poetic portrayal of his pride, rebellion, and tragic fall. Milton gave Lucifer a voice and complexity, portraying him as a defiant spirit who chooses freedom and self-determination at the cost of eternal damnation. This nuanced depiction questions simplistic moral binaries and invites readers to explore themes of freedom, fate, and justice in profound ways. These cultural expressions show how Lucifer evolved from a stark symbol of evil to a layered character embodying tragedy, pride, and resistance. Yet this romanticized image also obscures the original theological message about rebellion and divine justice, complicating how the figure is understood today. The spread of the Lucifer story also influenced various esoteric and mystical movements from medieval occultism to Renaissance alchemy, where the figure sometimes symbolizes hidden knowledge, spiritual awakening, or the necessary journey through darkness toward enlightenment. These interpretations highlight the continuing fascination with Lucifer as both a warning and an emblem of transformation. Despite these myriad interpretations, the story's core remains anchored in that initial celestial revolt and fall. But the influence of Lucifer extends beyond religion into culture, psychology, and philosophy, shaping modern understandings of evil, authority, and individual will. As we trace these lines of influence, a new tension arises. How do we reconcile Lucifer's identity as a cosmic villain with his depiction as a tragic, even heroic figure? What does this duality tell us about human nature and our quest for meaning? The next part will address Lucifer's role in human spirituality, temptation, and the enduring battle between good and evil within the soul. Lucifer's journey from the celestial realm to the realm of human experience lies at the heart of spiritual and moral reflection throughout the ages. As Satan, his role transcends mythology to become a symbol of temptation, sin, and the inner conflict that defines human existence. Religions traditionally present Satan as the tempter who influences humans to stray from divine law, emblematic of the struggle between flesh and spirit, obedience and rebellion. This notion is vividly illustrated in the temptation of Christ narratives, where Satan offers worldly power and glory in exchange for worship and submission. Such stories emphasize the persistent lure of pride, desire, and power, echoing Lucifer's own fall due to prideful ambition. Philosophically, Lucifer's story raises profound questions about free will and moral responsibility. If evil originated from a created being endowed with choice, what does that imply for humanity? Are humans destined to inherit this predisposition toward sinfulness? Does Lucifer's rebellion act as a cosmic foil, allowing individuals to exercise moral freedom in a universe governed by divine justice? Psychologically, some interpret Lucifer as the archetype of the shadowed unconscious, often dark aspects of the self that must be confronted for personal growth. Carl Jung and other theorists see the Lucifer figure as representing rebellion against conformity, but also the dangers of unchecked ego and ambition. This dual aspect makes Lucifer a complex metaphysical symbol, both the destroyer and a catalyst for transformation. Within Christian eschatology, Lucifer's story culminates in apocalyptic vision. Satan's final defeat and eternal punishment symbolize the triumph of good and restoration of divine order. Despite his immense power to deceive and corrupt, Satan remains subservient to God's ultimate sovereignty and justice. This cosmic drama underscores an enduring hope that rebellion and evil are temporary and no match for eternal goodness. This hope also animates doctrines of redemption and grace. While Lucifer is traditionally viewed as irredeemable, humanity is granted pathways toward repentance and salvation. The contrast highlights an important theological point. Unlike Lucifer, humans possess the possibility of choosing between good and evil and can find mercy despite their flaws. In cultural expressions, Lucifer continues to be a powerful symbol, inspiring art, literature, music, and popular culture. His image oscillates between villain and anti-hero, dark lord and tragic figure, reflecting the ongoing human fascination with rebellion, freedom, and the costs of defiance. As this part closes, a final tension emerges. If Lucifer embodies ultimate evil, what does it mean that his story persists in human imagination and spirituality? Does his presence challenge or reaffirm faith? And how do individuals confront the legacy of that original fall in their personal lives? If the complexities of Lucifer's struggle and his influence on human spirituality intrigue you, make sure to subscribe and join the discussion. How do you perceive Lucifer as the embodiment of pure evil, a tragic rebel, or something more? Your thoughts can illuminate our shared exploration into this eternal story. The saga of Lucifer's angel, who became Satanis, both a cosmic and existential narrative etched deeply into religious tradition, mythology, and human consciousness. The final chapters bring us to the enduring implications of Lucifer's fall for the cosmos, theology, and individual lives. Lucifer's descent from grace serves as a somber warning about the perils of pride and rebellion against the divine will. Yet it also embodies a paradox. In seeking to claim divinity through self-exaltation, Lucifer ultimately forfeited all light and favor. This paradox reverberates through religious teachings emphasizing humility, obedience, and the dangers lurking within unchecked ambition. The theological legacy of Lucifer's fall informs doctrines about the nature of evil interpreted, not as an independent primordial force, but as a privation, a corruption of good. Lucifer, once perfect light, now represents the distortion of that light into darkness, reminding believers that evil has no creative power of its own, but derives from fallen creatures' free will. On a cosmic scale, the ongoing struggle between good, evil, light, and darkness remains a central motif. Lucifer, as Satan, is the eternal adversary, but also the necessary counterpart in this spiritual drama, emphasizing the tension between order and chaos, obedience and rebellion. His banishment to hell, or the abyss, symbolizes divine justice and the cosmic order reasserting itself. For many faith traditions, this story culminates in eschatological hope, the final defeat of Satan, the restoration of creation, and the fulfillment of God's plan. This cosmic resolution assures believers that darkness will not prevail, and that light, both spiritual and moral, will ultimately triumph. Yet Lucifer's legacy is complex and mutable. In modern times, he has become a symbol of individualism, liberty, and resistance to tyranny for some, while to others he remains a reminder of spiritual peril and eternal damnation. This duality underscores the ongoing human engagement with the themes of power, freedom, transgression, and redemption. Lucifer's story challenges us to reflect. How do we confront the shadows within ourselves and society? How do the lessons of pride and fallibility inform our ethical decisions and spiritual journeys? The angel who became Satan compels us to consider the delicate balance between light and darkness in every human soul. As this full story concludes, we recognize Lucifer's enduring power to captivate and caution. The angel who once embraced divine glory and then plunged into eternal night remains a haunting figure, a symbol of rebellion, tragedy, and the eternal battle between good and evil. Thank you for joining this deep exploration. What does Lucifer's story mean to you today? Is it a tale of warning, a spiritual allegory, or something else entirely? Share your thoughts below. Your perspective is a vital part of this age-old dialogue.